All right. Well, if you're seeing our faces and you're hearing our voice, that means one thing and one thing only. That means college football is back. This is our 6th year covering college football, Pace and I, and we're back. We're back to it. We feel like the summer had basically just started, but we're now talking college football. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot to talk about, and let's not waste any more time. My name is Kyle Comas, newly branded Twitter for the college football season at Kyle K CFB. You can follow me there. And joining me for every single episode is the man, of course, Pace Meyer, Juice Man Pace. Pace, how are we, sir?
Dude, we've had a timer, right? That's just kind of been ticking. We've been talking every week, and it's finally here, week 0. We got games in Dublin. How about that? So just excited. Anytime we hop on the mic, talk college football, it's a good Monday night. So I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. And you know what we did? We covered all the games last year. I think 1 week we both had to miss for some reason, but I mean, we talked about 1,000 games, I think, last year, Pace, and that's not even an over exaggeration either.
Yeah,
So
we got the numbers. We got the stats to back it up.
absolutely. So, yeah, thinking back to last year, Pace, you had a really, really nice showing last year. Uh, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but you won 52% of your bets, so that's pretty good stuff out of you. I was just under at 49%, but I had a really, really bad week in there where that really hurt me. But other than that, I was pretty close to that too. But still, nice showing out of you last year too.
Hey, it's not many games, and if I can hit over 50%, I will. I'll take that every single season, Kyle. So little pressure this year, though. Little pressure to get back to that mark. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. So, and Pace, we've tried doing this by ourselves before whenever this guy's been gone, but you know what? We need someone to help us out a little bit here because we're talking a lot of games. We're talking a lot of analysis, a lot of stats thrown at you. We need someone behind the scenes to help us. Mr. Action Junkie very, very kindly has decided to join us once again. He is going to be behind the scenes most of the time, but Action, if you want to come on really quick, tell the people hello.
Hello, everyone. And yeah, I guess, Kyle, it's not working on Twitter right now, so I'm struggling with that. But I will post the YouTube link here in just a moment.
Okay. Nope, that's all right, Action. We will
have a great show, and horns up. Let's go, Bison.
Oh, we're gonna start off the year like that, Action, huh?
Big year.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Pace, before we dive into the conference breakdowns, I'm going to put you under the gun a little bit here. So every year, one thing that we always do is we talk a little Heisman Trophy. We always talk about like our Heisman Trophy picks, who we got potentially like as a dark horse, who we got winning the Heisman. I'll throw it at you first. Action's going to make the joke that you're going to have like 100 Heisman tickets this year, but right now, if they say, Pace, you got to give us 2 guys, a long shot and a favorite to win the Heisman, who are you going with?
Yeah, I think my favorite one is Darian Mensah, Kyle. I think he comes into a great situation with Miami. I'm expecting all my projections are pointing at Miami, getting back to the playoff and potentially that championship game as well. So I think they got the pieces. The defense, they got to retool a little bit. But the offensive playmakers they bring over in the transfer portal, I think this is going to be a really strong team. And this guy can sling the rock. Was at Duke last year, and he moves into a great spot. So some people are saying he's better than Carson Beck. And Carson Beck, he did all the right things except in that final game to obviously do what they needed to do. So I'm going to go Mensah, Kyle, as my favorite in that one. He's plus 900. He's plus 900. Now you said a dark horse as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got a dark horse by chance too.
I do. I'm gonna go. I'm just looking at my list right now. It's so many people. I'm gonna go. This is kind of weird to stay in the same conference, but I'm gonna go Kevin Jennings from SMU.
Ooh,
a little
okay.
dark horse there. He's at plus 8,000. Again, he had some health issues. He was a little banged up at the end of the year, but he comes back. Sounds like he's fully healthy in camp here and should be ready to go. So, again, I like the dual threat quarterback for a Heisman look, right? You kind of get that with Mensah a little bit. You definitely get that with Jennings. So 2 ACC guys, but those are some guys that I have circled on my list here.
All right. No, I love both those picks. And ACC, kind of a conference that I think you and I are going to be kind of lesser on this year outside of Miami. So for a chance for some guys to ball out here, Pace, I think is a really good possibility.
Yeah, for sure. And we just talked Miami just real briefly, Kyle. A little trivia here. When's the last time that the Hurricanes won the ACC title?
The ACC title.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm going. This is gonna be a horrible guess. 2003.
That's one of the greatest guesses of all time. 2004.
Oh,
2004. Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Great guess. Great guess.
I was just thinking back to those old school Miami days when they were in the championship against Ohio State and stuff like that. So I was just thinking about that.
Yep. Yep. Like, yeah, the Shockies, right? And the Ed Reeds and all those guys. Yep. Yep. So.
I love. I remember those. I remember those teams fondly. But yeah, Pace. Most people, if you follow me on social media, you kind of know the direction I'm gonna go here. I'll start with my dark horse first, though, Pace. You know, you mentioned Darian Mensah as your favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. A dark horse, Pace. I'm gonna go Kadarius Toney.
Mm-hmm.
Kadarius Toney.
Malachi, right?
Malachi. There you go. So I saw Kadarius Toney highlights actually before we got on here, but Malachi is who I'm going to go with. He was incredible last year. He was one of the top people in all of college football in receiving yards in the playoffs. He was absolutely unstoppable. If Indiana were to lose that national championship game, he would have been the main reason for that. So I really like him as a potential to go far here in the Heisman potentially. And if there's a wide receiver to win, and I think a lot of people are going to say Jeremiah Smith, but watch out for Malachi Toney. I think he could make a nice little run here this season.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, you bring in Cooper Barkate as well from Duke, right? So should take a little bit of pressure over off of Malachi. You would kind of think so. You got a 1-2 punch there. So yeah, but expect big things from the former 4-star recruit there.
Yep, absolutely. And then for my lock, I've been very vocal about it, but I'm going to double down on it again. Pace. I'm taking Trinidad Chambliss as my lock for the Heisman. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Well, Kyle, he's without his head coach. Lane Kiffin's gone. He's losing a lot of players." That's true, Pace. But one thing that people got to realize too is this: the new head coach, Pete Golding. He was with the Ole Miss program, so they're basically hiring internally. He's worked with Golding long enough, and he has his star running back Kewan Lacey back. So you have to respect the pass and the run. When you have to do that, that makes you even more dangerous in the passing game, which I like that a lot. They did a really great job of returning guys for wide receiver. They did a nice job picking up some guys in the transfer portal. They're returning several offensive linemen from last year, and I can't emphasize enough how important that is. But people are going to write him off. People say he probably shouldn't be playing this year. I think he proves a lot of people wrong, and this is the year that he wins it. Trinidad Chambliss, Pace, is my Heisman pick.
Yeah, I like that. Quite the run from Chambliss, right? Coming from, I believe, Ferris State, coming to Ole Miss. Incredible that Kiffin was able to find him. And a little bit of a hot take here, too. Everyone's like, oh, Chambliss wasn't good enough to go to LSU, right? Lane didn't want him. Maybe Chambliss didn't want to go to LSU.
Right.
It's also on the players too. Like you got to have a two-way street there. So, maybe Lane wanted him and we don't know that. And maybe Chambliss said, no, I like Ole Miss. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to get these guys back to the promised land. So, the dude can do it all. I love his game and excited to see Ole Miss, especially this running back room, Kyle. Brought in a kid named Joseph Dye as well to go with Kewan Lacey. Going to be an interesting running back room there. And I'm excited to see how the Rebels do this year.
Absolutely. No, I think they're going to be a dark horse for the SEC this year, and then we're going to talk about that in a moment. So, Pace, what we're going to do, since this is week 0, is we're going to talk every single conference. We're going to talk the odds for them to win the conference. We're going to talk their schedule, some people of value, and then we're going to give our picks, Pace, for who we think is going to win each conference. We're going to do that, and then we have 8 week 0 games, Pace. If you watched the show last year, we don't just do the big power schools. We don't just do the decent group schools. We do every single game every single week. So we're going to warm up a little bit, Pace, with only 8 games this week. We got 94 games next week to get ready to prep for. So hope you're ready for that.
Quite the jump going from 8 to 94.
Yes. Yep. So this will be a nice little warm up for us, Pace. But let's start with the ACC. We got some championship odds here. These odds, Pace, are via the Action app. What the Action app does, Pace, is it takes every single sports book and gives you a consensus odds. So it's not just giving you one sports book. It's taking in DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, BetMGM, Polymarket, Bet Rivers, Call Sheet, all the books, and it's giving you a consensus odds for the championship here. So for the ACC, odds-on favorite obviously is Miami at minus 150, SMU at a plus 700, Louisville at plus 800, Clemson at plus 1400, and then we got Pitt and Virginia at plus 1800, NC State plus 2200, Virginia Tech plus 2500, and then we got Cal and Georgia Tech at plus 3500. Florida at plus 4,000, Duke plus 7,000, Wake plus 8,000, Syracuse plus 12,000, North Carolina plus 12,500, Stanford plus 30,000, and the lowest odds, Boston College at plus 35,000. So Pace, one dark horse team that I think we should look at here. I like Pittsburgh a lot this year in the ACC. Mason Heinzel's returning after a freshman season of 2,300 yards with 16 TDs to 8 INTs. Truthfully, should have been starting the whole time. Them starting Eli Holstein over him just showed to be how dumb of a move that was. So I think he has a lot to prove this year. They do return their running back Jakari and Turner, who had over 700 yards. They got a really solid transfer pace in the portal. Malik Knight out of Western Carolina. He had 775 yards and 7 TDs at the FCS level last year. So I think he's going to make a really, really big impact. And if you look, Pace, their non-conference schedule, they have Miami, Ohio, UCF, and Bucknell, and they play them all at home. So that's a good start for them. They do have some tough road games. They go at Miami and at Louisville, but the rest of their conference is really, really manageable as far as the schedule goes. So I like Pittsburgh for a dark horse. My lock, Pace, unfortunately, it's really, really juicy, but I am going to take Miami to win the ACC. You talked about Duke transfer Darian Mensah last year, Pace. He was second in all of college football with 3,900 yards passing and second in all of college football with 34 TDs last season. They bring back Mark Fletcher. They got Malachi Toney, and they got a Duke transfer, Cooper Barquette, who you were talking about too, Pace. That's going to be really, really solid. And a lot of people are going to say, Miami, they lost Ruben Bain. They lost Akeem Mesidor. That defense is going to struggle. They still returned 7 starters, Pace, on defense. They are allowing only 15.6 points per game last season. This Miami team is going to be good. That is my lock to win the ACC is the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, that's the reason they're the favorite. Shout out Action too. This graphic looks awesome. Like it's super professional. So that's hey, claps to Action there. Come on now. There we go.
That would be Kyle. That would be Kyle.
Unless you
I
made
won't
him
take
Kyle.
that. Yes, it would be Kyle.
Okay. All right. See, Kyle's such a nice guy. He wasn't even going to say anything. But yeah, I mean, Miami is the clear favorite here. My dark horse. Can I give 2? Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I love Cal. I love Cal at plus 3,500. I love their quarterback. I'm going to butcher his name, Kyle. We talked about it before. Saga Pulo. That butchered it, but it's kind of close, maybe. I don't know. He had a great season last year, almost 3,500 yards, Kyle, 18 touchdowns, just 9 interceptions. He comes back. The running back room's interesting with Ashton Emery. He's from UTEP. You remember him. They also got the kid from Washington, Adam Mohammed, as well. He had 5 touchdowns. So there's 3 guys, Kyle, in this running back room that had 4 or more touchdowns on the roster here. So that's pretty solid for a running back room, too. And then the wide receivers, they got some upperclassmen who are going to have to show some things. But Chase Hendricks comes back. He had over 1,000 receiving yards last year, Kyle, and 7 touchdowns for Ohio. So, they got some transfers in, but I think they got some guys that are going to, maybe fly under the radar. And they went to Cal, out west, Sunshine State, and I think they got the quarterback, and I think this is going to be an interesting team. So I'm going to go Cal as one of the dark horses, and I think too many people are sleeping on Florida State, Kyle. Is it Ashton Daniels, I think, got the starting job there for the Seminoles. They've obviously been down. The defense should still be all right. Obviously, a little bit pressure there with Mike Norvell. Definitely on the hot seat, probably a top 3 candidate on the hot seat to start the season here. But I just feel like they've gotten a bad rap, rightfully so, right, for the last couple of seasons that they've gotten. But this is still Florida State. They still got some money. So I'm going to go Florida State and Cal as my dark horses. It's just tough not to take Miami, Kyle, as the favorite because they are the favorite. They got NFL talent all around. I just named Mensah, right? And we named the wide receivers. The defense, is not going to be as great as last year, but they'll still be super solid. They're still going to create some havoc there. So it would be kind of dumb to go against Miami. So I hate that we're both on it. But I'm going to go Miami, Kyle. I know it's kind of a cop-out, but they're the favorite for the reason here.
Yeah, they're obviously a favorite for a reason. Shout out Ashton, what's up, fellas? Let's go football right around the corner. Shout out to you, Ashton. I definitely missed the Monday night chats with you, so thanks for joining us on the stream here. But yeah, no, I think that's well said, Pace. But I will say before we go on to the next conference, a goal that we need to have, Pace, is by the end of the season, we want Action to be able to say that Cal quarterback. We want him to say it flawlessly. That should be a goal.
Right.
Should be a goal for you and I. Is that we're going to make that happen?
I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, let's go on to the Big Ten. The Big Ten now, Pace. Odds-on favorite: Ohio State at plus 180, Oregon at plus 260, Indiana plus 270, USC plus 1400, Michigan plus 1500, Penn State plus 2000, Washington plus 2700, Iowa plus 4200, and then we're getting really in the weeds here with Illinois and Wisconsin at 12,500, UCLA 13,000, Nebraska 15,000, Minnesota 20,000, Northwestern Michigan State 30,000, Maryland Purdue 35,000, and Rutgers plus 40,000 to win the Big Ten. So Pace, one dark horse here that I want to talk about is Penn State. Now, Penn State, they brought in Matt Campbell, obviously from Iowa State. He had success at the Big 12 level. Will it translate to the Big 10? I guess I'm not sure about that, but he brings in several players from that Iowa State team that had success last year. Carson Beck was really solid at quarterback. He's the most experienced quarterback in college football in terms of starts. Last season, he had 2,500 yards passing with 16 touchdowns and 8 rushing TDs as well. They also bring in their starting running back, Carson Hansen, who had 952 yards and 6 TDs at running back. But Pace, they have an absolute cakewalk of a schedule this year. They play Marshall, Temple, and Buffalo in the non-con, and their conference games is versus Wisconsin, at Northwestern, versus USC, at Michigan, versus Purdue, at Washington, versus Minnesota, versus Rutgers, at Maryland. So if I went through that too quick for you, you notice I didn't say Ohio State, I didn't say Oregon, I didn't say Indiana. That's 3 of the top teams right there on your screen that they are avoiding this year. And then their 2 tougher games, USC at home. So I mean, this is a really, really manageable schedule for Penn State. So don't knock on them at plus 2,000. Pace, I know it's going to be chalky, and I know everyone at home is going to roll their eyes at this. Ohio State's winning the Big Ten, Pace. They got a new offensive coordinator. And Arthur Smith from the Steelers. They lose Brian Hartline. They got an NFL offensive coordinator. Julian Sayin comes back. Pace. He had 3,600 yards, 32 TDs last year. People forget. They bring back Bo Jackson, who had 1,000 yards. Jeremiah Smith. They also got the number 1 wide receiver in the class of 2026, Chris Henry Jr. So they're going to have 2 solid wide receivers once again. They bring back 4 starting offensive linemen who only allowed 16 sacks last year. Pace. This team is going to be absolutely electric. They are the favorites for a reason, and they are going to win the Big Ten. Ohio State is my pick to win the Big Ten.
Interesting. All right. Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah, Ohio State's good, Kyle. Obviously, everybody knows that. Julian Sayin another year in college football should be great for him. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith, like you mentioned, the defense will be solid again. So, yeah, go Buckeyes. At plus 180, that kind of feels like, that's a pretty good price too.
A little bit of value.
There's some value there. You look at what we just looked at with Miami. We're minus 150, but you got 3 top tier teams here. So, grabbing Ohio State, grabbing one of those 3 teams seems like the smart move.
Absolutely. Where are you going here in the Big Ten, Pace?
I'm my dark horse, man. And I love these guys, and maybe that should worry me a little bit too much, but I like my Gophers. I like the Gophers here as a dark horse. That number is insane. Even if you just lay $5-10 on it, you come out all right. Obviously, they got a large hill to climb, Kyle, but I think I think they might be the only team in this conference that brings back the OC, the DC, and the head coach. I love continuity. So give me the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Drake Lindsay, another year, 6'5", 230. 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, just under 100 yards passing yards, if I could talk there. So give me Drake Lindsay in these Golden Gophers. Darius Taylor. Wide receiver group here, Kyle, is going to be a little interesting. They lose some wide receivers, but they do bring back Javon Tracy, the senior, so they got some upperclassmen as well. There's going to be some guys from Auburn, Perry Thompson, that are going to have a say in where they're going to end up on the depth chart. So give me the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Seems crazy, but I like how they can run the football, and I like how they can pass it with Drake Lindsay. I think he's going to be a surprise player. Maybe not surprise is the right word because he's on some people's radars, but I think he has NFL potential. So give me the Gophers here. And
All
then,
right.
yeah.
Sounds good.
No love for Oregon this year. Interesting. Lock wagers. I don't know. I just feel like everyone's on Oregon, Kyle, right? Everyone, I feel like is on Oregon. And, can the quarterback win the big game? I think that's the interesting question about this Ducks team is can they win the big game when the going gets tough? Can they pull out? They'll dominate these lesser opponents, but when they got to take these top tier teams to all 4 quarters, can they get it done? So that's why I'm staying away from Oregon. I'm going Indiana plus
Okay.
270. I think I love them to go back to back. I think I'm going to bet on them as well to win it all. But I like the quarterback, Kyle, that they brought over from TCU. Obviously, something with Signetti. He saw that he liked him, and he was pretty good last year too. So Turbo Richard, you might remember that name from Boston College. That dude, if you haven't seen him run, pull up his highlights on YouTube. That dude is phenomenal. So he's going to have a great season for Indiana as well. But it's just again Kirk Signetti. He said it when he got to Indiana. Google me. I win, right? And he did last year. So why are we doubting him after coming off, a huge win like that, a huge season like that last year? So I'm going to roll with Indiana here at plus 270.
Yeah, no, I like it. And if you think about what Kurt Signetti has done in Indiana pace, he's lost 2 games since his tenure at Indiana. Ohio State, who won the national championship that year, and Notre Dame, the team that played Ohio State in the national championship that year. I mean, all the guy does is win, so it's not a harp at all to go with Indiana here. So
yeah, and I don't hate their schedule either. I mean, North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, Northwestern, Rutgers, Nebraska. That's the first 6 weeks, first 6 games, Kyle. Then you go back to back here with Ohio State, Michigan, and then you throw the Gophers in there. 3 straight back to backs there. But they have Ohio State at home. They have the Gophers at home. They have to go to Michigan, the big house, and then they round it out after their bye week in Week 10 with USC, Washington, and Purdue. I don't know. That schedule is not terrible in my mind.
All right. Sounds good. We'll just have to see how that goes. Pace will transition now to the Big 12. Odds-on favorite to win the Big 12 is Texas Tech at minus 105. BYU coming in second at plus 550. Utah at plus 700. Kansas State at plus 1,400. Houston at plus 1,600. Arizona and TCU at plus 2,000. Arizona State at plus 2,250. Oklahoma State plus 2,700. Baylor and Kansas at plus 4,000. West Virginia and UCF at plus 5,000, Colorado plus 8,000, and Cincinnati, Iowa State plus 10,000. So before I say what I'm about to say, Pace, I want to note something. There's a lot of people in sports media who they'll throw out a take. They don't necessarily mean it and stuff like that. They just want to get views. We're not like that. Everything we say, we actually truly think is going to happen, and we don't do this to get clicks. I want to throw that disclaimer out there. I want to give a shout out, Pace, to a guy by the name of Moneyline Mac. He hosts the College Football Experience and the College Basketball Experience with Colby Dant on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He tweeted out, quote, Big 12 is going to Big 12 this year. And that's exactly what's going to happen, Pace, because Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, they are not winning the Big 12. Kansas State is winning the Big 12 this year, Pace. They are bringing in Colin Klein as their head coach. If you remember Colin Klein at Kansas State, I certainly remember him because he absolutely torched Oklahoma when he was at Kansas State. People were like, well, how does a good quarterback translate to a good head coach? He was under the coaching staff for the longest time as a position coach under the great Bill Snyder. He has one of the best mentors out there as far as that goes. He gets his first big gig as the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. Both years he's there, Pace. They are a top 20 offense in college football. He knows what it's like to be a good offense. They bring back Avery Johnson, which we talked about last show. How the heck he's still in college football, I don't know, but he's back, Pace. He had 2,300 yards, 18 TDs. He had almost 500 yards rushing last year. They bring back a sophomore running back, Joe Jackson, at running back, 911 yards, 8 TDs. They do have 2 tough road games, Pace, at Utah and at Oklahoma State. But other than that, they avoid BYU and they host Texas Tech. Texas Tech going to Manhattan could get a little crazy there. So it's not crazy to think about, Pace, them being in the Big 12 championship and maybe sneaking their way into the college football playoff. So I'm going to go risk it for the biscuit here, Pace. Kansas State is my dark horse and my lock to win the Big 12.
Yeah, I like Avery Johnson. I was on him last year, so I was kind of a year ahead there. They didn't have a great season. Obviously, Chris Kleiman was there last year. He leaves. So, being an NDSU guy, him coming from the Bison, obviously had to love K-State. They did lose two stellar offensive linemen, I believe, so that's going to have to get fixed. You got to retool that offensive line, but hey, Avery Johnson, I'm a big fan of. So yeah, I like that. I can get behind that plus 1,400. I like Utah, Kyle. I like BYU as well. I'm not picking Texas Tech. I just don't believe in them. I know that defense will be solid, but is Hammond the guy? I'm not sure. We'll kind of see here. So I like Utah. I like BYU. Gosh, as far as a dark horse, I was looking at West Virginia because Cam Cook comes over from Jacksonville State, right? He had a great season last year, but it just worries me that Rich Rod hasn't announced his quarterback less than 2 weeks from their first game here. So it could either be your guy, Kyle, right? Michael Hawkins Jr., MHJ, is that what they call him last year? So, or no, yep. MH14 or something.
Yeah,
they got a true freshman as well. So I kind of like West Virginia as well, but I'm a little worried about the quarterback there. Baylor, I think Legway has a bounce back season. Obviously, their coach is on the hot seat too, but they just lost two wide receivers in training camp here, I think, out for the season, or if not, an extended period of time. So I don't love that either. Iowa State, I think, is going to be not great. Cincinnati, not great. Colorado, I think, is going to struggle. Remember that kid from San Jose State, Kyle, last year from the wide receiver, Danny, is it Scooteroo?
Yep.
Scooteroo. Interesting that he went to Colorado because I think he was the best receiver in college football last year. So just kind of, interesting to see him go to Colorado, not a bigger program. But for me, I think it's going to be one of these top five teams here, or top four, I should say: Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, or K-State, like Kyle mentioned, that's going to win that. And I'm going to go with BYU or Utah. So,
okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Scooter thing you talked about, Pace, I think there's definitely got to be something to do with, Deion being the head coach there. I think a lot of people go there because maybe they didn't watch Deion, but their parents watched Deion and they grew up watching like what Deion is like. So they're like, let's go play for one of the best NFL players that we've seen. So maybe that could have been something too.
Yeah, I just remember Julian Lewis last year. Didn't love him. Obviously he was a young guy, so he comes back. I know they got some other kids here. Isaac Wilson, I believe. Who was that kid that went to the Jets that played for? He was a good-looking kid. Got drafted early. Something Wilson. He went to the Jets, Kyle. And was that who it was? No, the quarterback. Gosh, what was his name?
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Yeah, I think that's his brother. Isaac. Yeah, there we go. Play me, got it. Isaac Wilson. So he's there too. Will he give Julian Lewis some competition? It's just interesting when you have a good of receiver as Danny was. 88 receptions, Kyle, at San Jose State last year, just under 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now you're going to get thrown the ball from Julian Lewis. You go from Walker Eggett to Julian Lewis. I mean, what are we doing here, Doc? So
I mean, that's linear, isn't it?
That's true. You maybe want to think to kind of bump it up a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. Colorado, man, how that program's kind of hype wise falling off here a little bit, but yeah, it should be. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the Big 12. That's every single year, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, especially absolutely. Too if Texas Tech, if they get Thomas Castellanos, right, because he's coming back apparently. So that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out Action 2 said, watch out for Arizona. They have the best quarterback in the conference in Noah Fafita. Very, very well said. That could be a sneaky team as well. So
Yep. The lefty Drew Brees. I love it.
Absolutely. Pace, let's go to the SEC now. Odds on favorite is Georgia at plus 270. And then you got Texas at plus 300, not far behind them. And then you got LSU, Bama, and LSU and Bama at plus 850. And then you got Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M at plus 1,000. Tennessee plus 1,800. Florida plus 2,200. Missouri plus 3,300. Auburn plus 4,000. South Carolina plus 5,000. Vanderbilt plus 8,000. Kentucky plus 15,000. Mississippi State plus 20,000. And Arkansas plus 28,000. I probably don't need to read all these teams, Pace, but I'm going to because I think it's kind of fun. But I know everyone can read it. But Pace, my dark horse to win the conference is obviously Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss has my Heisman pick in Trinidad Chambliss. Kejuan Lacey last year, 1,500 yards rushing, 24 TDs, third and second in college football. They're returning three starting offensive linemen. And if you look, Pace, at their defense too, they bring back their top returner, Sunderine Perkins, who had 81 tackles last year. He was an absolute stud. They have 7 transfers. They got a linebacker from Baylor, Keaton Thomas, who had 99 tackles. A transfer from Colorado at linebacker, Luke Farrelly, who had 91 tackles last year. And they got safety Edwin Joseph from Florida State, who had 3 interceptions. So that defense has really, really improved despite Lane Kiffin leaving. So I think this is a really really sneaky Ole Miss team at plus 1,000. Get them here. I hate doing it, Pace, but if you listen to the last show, I don't always go with the favorites. I just haven't be on a run here, Pace, where I have gone with the favorites. But Georgia is going to be my pick to win the SEC. Gunnar Stockton returns, and fun fact for you, Pace, my wife's uncle actually coaches football down in Georgia, and Gunnar Stockton was one of the quarterbacks to go through his program. So I thought that's really, really cool. He talked to me a little bit about that. But he returns. They bring back Nate Frazier at running back. They also bring back 8 starters, Pace, on defense, and that's the one thing Georgia's known for, right? They're known for their defense. They bring back 8 starters. KJ Bolden's going to be a beast for them. Now, they do have 2 tough road games. They play at Alabama and at Ole Miss. But you win those games, Pace, they could be undefeated. Like, that's how good of a team this Georgia squad is. So it is chalky, but I am going to take the Georgia Bulldogs to win the SEC.
Yep, I like that. I like Georgia. I had them written down, but I'm going to shift a different direction to give the people something different. So
Okay.
I'm all with you on Georgia there. My dark horse, I got a couple. I like South Carolina. I think they got a solid team. I like Auburn as well, but I'm going to lock in Florida, Kyle, as my dark horse at plus 2,200. Just named Aaron Philo, I believe, their quarterback here, Kyle. And he came over from Georgia Tech. Watched a little bit of film on him. And I'll tell you what, this guy's going to be in the NFL. I firmly believe that. He's got good footwork. He can sling the rock. He's got good just awareness in the pocket from what I was watching. So big fan of Aaron Philo, 6'1", 207. Jaden Baugh as well. I'm big into college fantasy football this year. He's one of the top running backs to go in terms of fantasy football production. Wide receiver-wise, Kyle, they got a pile of guys here. They bring in a guy from Auburn in Eric Singleton Jr. We remember from last year. Auburn had great wide receivers last year, Kyle, and they just underperformed at that position there and just kind of overall. So the defense is going to be, interesting. I think it's going to Summerall is going to try and get these guys to get back to that Florida Gator defensive style, right? So that's what I'm hoping that he can do. So at plus 2,200, I think Florida's kind of sneaky here with Philo coming in. Can he get it done? He's finally got his chance now, and he's going to show that here this year. So I like that. And then my favorite, Kyle, I'm going to go with LSU. Heck, they're bringing in NFL players, Kyle. They're bringing in NFL players. Like, what are we doing here? Again, that's a topic for a different time. But you're going to tell me that I can get LSU at plus 850, and they got a guy that's already been to the playoffs, right? And Sam Levitt. Now you got Lane Kiffin and his offensive-minded geniusness that he brings over. So I like LSU here. And the running backs, it'll be interesting to see how that group looks, wide receivers as well. But again, I'm big on starts, right? Have you started college football games? And Sam Levitt has done that, and at the highest level as well. So, give me LSU here at plus 850. That just seems like so much value for Kiffin and these boys.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And then one thing that's kind of underrated too when it comes to SEC pace is tight ends. And Trey'Dez Green is going to be one of the best
Sure.
tight ends in college football. Like last year was obviously Kenyon Sadiq. This year I think Trey'Dez Green is going to be miles above everybody else. Shout out PG in the chat too, by the way. We appreciate him tuning in.
See, we didn't go Oklahoma, Kyle. Obviously, PG, Oklahoma guy. You're an Oklahoma guy. So I know we don't like to bet on your squad, right? But at plus 1,000, thoughts on that? I know that the win total's at 7.5, but we got some big media personnel people out there that are high on Oklahoma. So just curious what your thoughts are on the Sooners.
Yeah, a lot of people high on Oklahoma. Me and PG are very big on Oklahoma this year. Obviously, bringing back John Mateer is going to be nice. Isaiah Satania Pace is going to go down as one of the better wide receivers in college football. Book that right now. He is electric and is going to be great defensively. They bring back a lot of guys. Freaking B-Russ. We bring back a lot of guys defensively. David Stone Pace is going to be one of the best interior defensive linemen in college football. So I think Oklahoma is going to be really electric. The problem is Pace is the reason I think people are kind of shying away from them is they have a gauntlet. They have an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. I think all those teams you see towards the top, they play every single one, and a lot of them on the road this year. So it's going to be an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. But I have high hopes. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's and too like everyone talks gauntlet of schedules and things like that. I mean, if you're in the SEC, I just feel like you're going to have a gauntlet anyways, right? A week in and week out, you're just going to be playing some of these top tier teams. So I don't know. I mean, just looking at Auburn, look at this back to back to back. Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. I mean, what are we doing here? So, yeah, if you're in the SEC, it's just going to be a gauntlet week in and week out. So, yeah, it should be fun. I think there's some teams in here that could surprise some guys. I'm actually high on Arkansas. I don't think they're going to finish last here in this conference. So, yeah, I think the SEC is going to be really fun this year.
Absolutely. No, I think it's going to be a crazy conference this year. Action, we had a comment from Lock Wagers about Florida. Can you bring that up here? I was curious what he had to ask about that. Very happy to hear Pace discuss the Florida Gators. Any thoughts on the over under 7.5 win total? My brain leans under, heart leans over. What are you thinking there, Pace?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I took them as my dark horse, so I'll say the over as well. Lock, let's just go over the schedule. FAU, Campbell, those are 2 wins, right? So there's 2 wins. You got Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri. I think you can win Missouri, right? So there's 3 wins. Auburn and Ole Miss, I'm 50-50 on. You got South Carolina. That could be a win. So now we're at 4 wins, right? You got Texas. That's probably a loss. Georgia, Oklahoma. But then you got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and FSU. There's 3 wins I think you could get there. So I think that number's spot on. It's just they got to win one of these bigger games. If you believe they can do that, I'd take the over.
Well said. Pace, let's shift away from the Jesus. We didn't need to show that comment. Let's shift away from the Power 4, Pace, and let's go to the group of 6. Let's start in the American Conference. Odds-on favorite is Navy at plus 375, UTSA at plus 475, Memphis at plus 650, and then we got Army, South Florida, and Tulane at plus 700, East Carolina plus 800, Florida Atlantic at plus 1,400, Tulsa at 2,000, North Texas plus 2,600, Temple plus 3,000, Rice plus 12,500, UAB plus 25,000, and Charlotte plus 30,000. Charlotte could be plus 100,000. I want to take that. That's how bad I think Charlotte's going to be this year. But Pace, I'm going to go a really decent dark horse this year at plus 2,000. I'm going to take Tulsa as my dark horse to win the American. They returned Baylor Haynes, Pace, and if you didn't know Baylor Haynes, he was only a freshman last year, had 2,100 yards passing, 12 TDs to 6 INTs. So not bad numbers in a pretty decent conference for the freshmen. They also got a transfer from Auburn, Damari Alston, who's going to be starting at running back for them. So they have some decent production there as far as power schools goes. They returned 5 starters on defense, and they have 6 transfers, Pace, that are expected to start to fill it out. They got UAB transfer Devin Hightower at 81, and then we talk a little FCS. Idaho State, they have a transfer safety, Rylan Leathers, who had 101 tackles last year. So Tulsa could be a sneaky team in the American Conference. So they're not my lock to win, but that's a sneaky team to look at. A lot of people are going to go Navy Pace to win the American. I'm actually going to go UTSA to win the American Conference. They return Owen McCown. How he's still in college football, I'm not sure, but he had almost 3,000 yards passing, 30 TDs last year, Pace. That's tied for 6th in college football. So he was slinging it last year. They returned 2 of their 3 players at wide receiver. They returned 3 starting offensive linemen who only allowed 21 sacks last year. That was a sneaky, solid offensive line UTSA returned. Their defense did struggle, Pace, but here's one thing that I like about UTSA. They did the unprecedented way. They didn't go FCS or lower teams. They actually went the community college route, Pace, to get some transfers. They got a safety from Angelo State, Xavier Walton, who had 68 tackles, 6 INTs at the junior college level. And then they got a transfer from San Bernardino Valley Junior College and Assad Chapman, who had 3 INTs and 42 tackles last year. So they're doing a lot of things right here. And I think that they're a sneaky team, even though they're not the odds-on favorite. They're a high team. And I think they'll win the conference this year, Pace. So I'm going to take UTSA at plus 475.
All right. I like it. Kyle and I, we didn't see notes or anything like that before the show. So I also had Tulsa, Kyle. They bring back, I think, 77% production comes back from last year. So I love that, especially I'm big on continuity as well. So I'm going to go Tulsa here as well at plus 2,000. Going to go a different direction to see who's going to win it all, Kyle. But I'm going to go South Florida, the Bulls. We got Brian Hartline, right? They just named Michael Van Buren Jr. You might remember him from LSU as the starter. DJ Crawford is their running back. He almost had 1,000 yards last year. They got some receivers that were in kind of that 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 touchdown range last year. The offensive line will need to get retooled a little bit, and the defense, not a ton of huge names on the defensive side. Kyle, a lot of 3-stars coming out of high school, but I'm interested to see how Hartline, coming from Ohio State, can do down there in South Florida. So I'll go with them to win it. And what are they at plus 700?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And Hartline has consistently produced some of the best offenses in college football year in and year out. So I think him as a head coach, an offensive minded head coach for an offensive minded team, I like that a lot, Pace.
Yeah, so. Cool.
Let's shift to Conference USA now, Pace. Odds-on favorite is Liberty at plus 275, followed by Western Kentucky at plus 340, Jacksonville State plus 500, Delaware plus 600, Kennesaw State plus 700, Florida International plus 850, New Mexico State plus 2,000, Missouri State plus 2,500, Middle Tennessee plus 4,000, and Sam Houston plus 7,000. Again, I want to note that Pace and I did not share notes before this. We never do. Him and I are both coming in surprised at each other's picks. We never share picks before this. I know we're going to have the same team here. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know we're going to have the same team here. Pace, my dark horse and lock to win Conference USA is the Delaware Blue Hens. I think that they are going to be a sneaky team. Nick Minicucci's returning after a season of 3,600 yards and 23 TDs. They bring back their running back, Joe Silver. They bring back their top wide receiver, Sean Wilson. And they were 45th pace in college football last year at 28.5 points per game. And they're returning all those guys. Defensively, they're returning their top 2 defensive players and linebacker, Gavin Mole, who had 112 tackles, and safety KTC, who had 91 tackles. This Delaware team is going to be sneaky good, and the 4th best odds to win the Conference USA. I mean, just give that to me all day long. I'm taking the Delaware Blue Hens to win Conference USA.
Yeah, I should have known that they were going to be on that same side with Delaware. A big fan of Minicucci as well, like Kyle said. He was just shy of 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 7 picks. This dude can do it all, not only in the air, but on the ground as well. So I'll take Delaware as my dark horse just because of the number. I like Jacksonville State here, Kyle, as well. So I'm going to go with them to kind of win it all for my conference. They do have a new offensive coordinator in Taylor House-Wright. But again, Caden Creel, we talked about him last year too. This dude can run the football as well from the quarterback spot, and he can sling it too. So I like Jacksonville State and that one. Liberty scares me a little bit. In 2023 they were 9-0, Kyle. 2024, my notes say 5-3, and then last year just 3-5. So for them to be back the favorite here, not a huge favorite, but clearly the favorite in the championship odds, that just doesn't sit really well with me. So I'm going to fade Liberty again this season, and I'm going to go Jacksonville State and Delaware.
Yep, nope, I like that a lot. I think a lot of hype going in about Liberty is obviously, you got Jamie Chadwell at head coach, so they're thinking, Jamie Chadwell, he thrives in these group of 6 positions, so he's going to bring back this Liberty team. I'm right there with you, though. I don't really necessarily see that. Western Kentucky, I can see a little bit because they're always towards the top of the conference and usually always are going to be a team to win. But no, I like either Jacksonville State or Delaware as well. So
yeah, if you look at the top 10 players, Kyle, back in the conference in terms of production numbers, Delaware has 5 of the 10 guys on their roster. So I don't know, just interesting that they kind of be feeling slept on a little bit here at plus 600.
Yeah, nope, I agree with you. Pace, let's go to the MAC. The MAC is whack, and let's talk about the MAC here. Odds-on favorite is Miami, Ohio at plus 350, Western Michigan plus 380, Toledo at plus 400, Ohio at plus 650, Central Michigan plus 800, Eastern Michigan plus 1,000, Bowling Green plus 1,600, Buffalo plus 1,800, Akron plus 2,500, Sacramento State plus 3,000, Kent State 4,500, Ball State 8,000, and UMass 12,500. If it doesn't show you how whack the MAC is, Pace, UMass was the worst team in college football last year, and they're only 12,500 to win their conference.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. So when I did my research, Pace, I was going through through team by team, and I just kind of looked at like their strengths and their weaknesses. I'm going to be honest with you, Pace. I can't give you a dark horse because I really don't think that any team outside the top four is gonna will win the conference. So I really can't give you a dark horse here. Worried a little bit about Toledo, though, with Jason Candle taking the head coaching job at UConn. So I'm not sure how they're going to do this year. Ohio's having some turnover at the coaching position as well. So I think it's either going to be one of those top two teams. I'm going to go Western Michigan, though, Pace. Western Michigan won the MAC last year. They're returning their starting quarterback, Brock Lowry, who had 1,800 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. They bring back a 1,000-yard rusher in Jalen Buckley, 3 starting offensive linemen, and then really solid starters on defense, 4 starters returning, and they got a solid transfer from Long Island, Pace, Scoop Gardner Jr.
Ooh, great name.
I love that name. Great name. He's going to give us a scoop and score pace quite often this season. So Western Michigan is my pick to win the MAC.
Yeah, I got a little dark horse here for you, Kyle. Your guy, Eddie George. Give me Bowling Green as a dark horse. His second year, they bring over former Oregon quarterback Austin Novosad. He's got some targets as well. The offensive line brings back 0 returning starters, I believe, from last year. So that's obviously a little bit of a concern. They got a week 2 trip to Nebraska. But, hey, you win that one, who knows? That could spark some, good vibes into the Bowling Green program here. So at plus 1,600, I'm going to take Bowling Green. And then it's just too hard to pick against the Redhawks here, Kyle, as well. 13 years of Chuck Martin. They bring back 84% of their offensive production. They're one of the most reliable programs here in the MAC. So it just kind of seems whack to go against the Redhawks here at plus 350.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, I think it's going to be one of those top 2 teams that wins it. So
Yep. Value. There you go, Gobbler.
Pace, let's go to the Mountain West now. Odds-on favorite is UNLV at plus 275. Your alma mater, Pace, North Dakota State and New Mexico at plus 300. Hawaii at plus 500. Air Force plus 600. Wyoming plus 2,200. San Jose State at plus 2,500. Nevada plus 3,000. And Northern Illinois plus 8,000. And UTEP, excuse me. Hot take, Pace, before we dive in here. San Jose State at plus 2,500 is absolute travesty because they are going to be not only the worst team in Mountain West. Here's my hot take. They are going to be the worst team in college football this year. This team is going to be absolutely horrible this year. San Jose State is. So that's going to be my hot take. Just going to throw that out there now. As far as diving, do you have something to say to that?
I don't mind the hot take. Another kind of, not even a hot take, but a history footnote here, Kyle. They're the only current member of this conference to win the Mountain West Championship in 2020. So, they're the last standing member, right? So a lot of new blood in this conference.
Absolutely. No, that is a fun fact, Pace. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yes, sir.
Action says the FCS Missouri Valley is better than the Mountain West.
That could be very true. That could be very true.
Interesting take there. Pace, my dark horse to win the Mountain West. I'm going to go Air Force at plus 600. If you read the Phil Steele magazine, if you haven't had a chance to listen to Action, I actually got to interview Phil Steele. Great interview. So if you have a chance, be sure to check that out on the Play Me or Fade Me podcast here. But Phil Steele has the Air Force as the most experienced team in all of college football. They returned their starting quarterback, Liam Zerka, who had 1,200 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing last season. Their starting running back, Owen Allen, returns. And they returned 8 starters on defense, Pace. And that Air Force defense was pretty solid last year. They include their leading tackler, Blake Fletcher, at linebacker, had 108 tackles last year. This Air Force team could be pretty sneaky. And, they obviously 2 of their non-con games are to Army and Navy, so that could be kind of interesting to see how they do against them. And I believe they played Lafayette for their other non-conference game. So, again, could be a sneaky good Air Force team here. But, Pace, I'm big on this coach. I've always been big on this coach. I am taking the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii to win the Mountain West. They've returned freshman quarterback Micah Alejado, with 3,100 yards passing and 2 TDs. There is some concern with Hawaii as their top wide receiver, Pofele Ashlock, has been out with injury. So they are concerned about that. It doesn't sound like it's season ending by any means, but he might miss a few games here or there. Irregardless, I still think they're going to be really solid. They returned a lot of their offense last year. They were one of the best offenses actually in college football last year, Pace. They had 29 and a half points per game and almost 400 yards per game. So they were a really solid offense. As far as their schedule goes, Pace, they avoid New Mexico and North Dakota State on their schedule. They do play UNLV on the road, but the rest of their games are very, very manageable. I'm taking Timmy Chang and the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, Pace, to win the Mountain West.
Yep, this is a big Hawaii Rainbow Warriors podcast here, Kyle. So no issues there from me. Kyle, my dark horse, I'm going to go Wyoming, the Cowboys. Laramie is always a tough place to play, right? Phil Steele, who you know very well, he had 12 players for the all-conference team, 12 members of the Wyoming Cowboys on his all-conference team for this conference, so that's awesome. Obviously, the new face at quarterback, William & Mary transfer, Tyler Hughes, but he's a mobile quarterback, so maybe something a little different there down in Laramie, but I'm going to go Wyoming as my dark horse. Obviously, I want to throw North Dakota State in there as my favorite to win it. Obviously, going to be cheering very hard for them. 5 SCFs titles, right, in 10 years, which is awesome. They had that awesome stretch. The defense travels. DJ Scott is going to be a top 3 running back in this league, Kyle, by the end of the year. But I'm just a little bit worried. First year, right, in FBS, in this new conference, just kind of how things shake out. There's always some growing pains early on. I think the Bison will be fine down the road, but not sure about this year. So I'm going to stay away from them. I think it's UNLV's to lose, Kyle. They got all the pieces here. Jackson Arnold back under center. Obviously, the big question is, they need some pass catchers, but I think those things will figure itself out. But again, this is a team that has it all, has everything in place to win this league. So I'm going to go UNLV here.
Now, is it confirmed? No, shout out Thomas too. Thomas from work watching us. I appreciate that. Is it confirmed, Pace, if Jackson Arnold is going to be the starter? I heard it's a battle between him and Orgy. Who's gonna start between the two? So
yeah, I've also heard that. I don't know if it's been announced, but I have a hard time feeling why it should be Arnold in my opinion. So I know Orgy got some run last year a little bit too, but. I don't know. Or Arnold coming over from Auburn. Haven't heard 100% what is the news there, but I still think either way, this team is loaded.
And Dan Mullen's a smart coach, and I know he'll make the right decision. But Pace, Orgy stinks.
Yeah, we watched him at Michigan, man. He was terrible.
Yeah. No way he should be a starter. And Jackson Arnold's not that much better, but he's better than Orgy.
Yeah, he's got to be. And Jaden Thomas, too, in the backfield. I think that'll help Jackson Arnold as well. So he had 1,000 yards rushing last season as well. So, again, going to need some pass catchers. They only have returning, Kyle, 6 total touchdowns returning in that wide receiver room. So they're going to have to find some guys to catch some balls here.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Sounds good. Well, let's transition now to the Pac-12 Pace. Odds-on favorite is your Boise State Broncos at plus 135. San Diego State not far behind them at plus 400. Fresno State and Texas State at plus 600. Washington State plus 950. Utah State plus 1,300. Oregon State plus 1,900. And Colorado State coming in at plus 3,300. Pace, we had a fantasy football show, and this is a guy that you talked about quite a bit. I'm going Texas State, Pace, is my dark horse for the Pac-12 plus 600. Brad Jackson, Pace, freshman season, had 3,200 yards passing and 21 TDs. He also had 744 rushing yards and 17 rushing TDs. This Brad Jackson is legit. They were bring back 2 starting wide receivers, including their top wide receiver, Bo Sparks, who we talked about, Pace, 5th in college football last year with 1,200 yards passing. And they also have Chris Don Jr., who also had 1,000 yards passing. So his top 2 wide receivers are back. Their defense year in and year out, Pace, has been really, really bad, but they brought in a new defensive coordinator from South Alabama to turn this defense around. So I do like that a lot for them. They do have some tough conference road games at Boise State, at San Diego State, but I think this is a team to watch out for, Pace. So I'm going to take Texas State as my dark horse, and I'm going to take Boise State to win the Pac-12. I know you're not big on Maddox Madsen, but he wasn't great last year, if I'm being but I think in a new conference, he's gonna be better. I really, really do like that running back duo of Dylan Riley and Sire Gaines. I think that's gonna be the bread and butter for this Boise State offense. They return 6 starters on defense, Pace, that has 24.8 points per. I just saw that comment. It made me laugh. 24.8 points per game. And they also bring back a transfer, Pace, from South Dakota and Roman Tillman, who had 94 tackles. So they brought in some really good transfers there. They play San Diego State and Texas State at home. And I think they have a tough non-conference schedule, Pace. They play at Oregon to start the year, and then they host Memphis that very next week. So they have a really tough non-conference schedule that's going to get them ready for an easier conference schedule. I think that plays to their advantage. So I'm going to take the Boise State Broncos to win the Pac-12.
Yeah, seems like the right move. I'll go with you again. It's not just talent; it's continuity, and I've said it a couple times here on the show. But it's continuity. Madison Matson, right? His third year, they bring back 3 offensive starters on that offensive line. Kyle, obviously that running back room with Dylan Riley and Sire Gaines. I mean, one of the best 1-2 punches in all of college football. So I like Boise State here at plus 135. I'll give you a dark horse. Here, Kyle. Give me Oregon State. I'm big on the Beavers this year, and they just named the starting quarterback Braden Atkinson from Mercer. Check out these numbers, Kyle. Last year, 34 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,600 yards. I know he's coming from Mercer. Where's Mercer? Nobody knows, but they got sweet colors. They're orange and they're black. Now Braden Atkinson, he switches teams, but he's back in the orange and black with the Beavers here. So give me Oregon State and that new coach there from Alabama. No prior head coaching experience, Kyle. Worries me a little bit. And 60% of the roster is brand new. But again, that's the landscape of college football, right? So that's nothing new here. So I'll take the Beavers as my dark horse, plus 1,900. I love that number. And I think it's Boise State, man. Spencer Danielson, I want to have a beer with him. He seems like the man. So give me Boise State there.
Absolutely. Pace, that Mercer offense was so fun to watch, too.
Dude, so fun. So fun. I always got the updates from Sam Herder. Shout out Sam Herder. Just like, again, Mercer's putting up 500 points per game. This Atkinson's throwing around left and right. So, I hope it works out. I hope it works out for him.
Absolutely. Nope, that sounds good, Pace. Let's go to our final conference here, the Sun Belt. Odds-on favorite is James Madison at plus 260. Old Dominion not far behind him at plus 450. Louisiana plus 750. Marshall and Troy at plus 800. Arkansas State at plus, and Louisiana Tech at plus 1,100. South Alabama plus 1,400. App State and Georgia Southern plus 1,800. Coastal Carolina plus 2,500. Southern Miss plus 6,000. UL Monroe plus 8,000 and Georgia State at plus 13,000. Tough for me to pick a value guy here, Pace, because I do think it's going to be pretty top heavy in the conference this year. I went with Louisiana for my dark horse. They're bringing in a new defensive coordinator, Jim Salgado, who is the Buffalo Bills safeties coach. So bringing in an NFL minded head coach. I absolutely love their quarterback, Pace. Lunch Winfield for Louisiana, 1,500 yards passing, 667 yards rushing. They returned 3 starting offensive linemen. Only 2 starters on defense, but they are bringing back their top corner, Brent Gordon Jr., who had 62 tackles. So sneaky team in the Raging Cajuns. I do like Louisiana as my dark horse. And again, for the final conference, I'm going to go, again, the odds-on favorite, James Madison plus 260. The great action junkie always calls him Sun Belt Billy Napier, back in the Sun Belt, coaching James Madison. They brought in offensive coordinator Cam Aiken, who is the East Texas State offensive coordinator. And if you paid any attention to East Texas State, they were one of the most electric offenses at the FCS level last year. So bringing in a really solid offensive coordinator. There is a quarterback battle happening right now, Pace. It does sound like it's going to be Camden Coleman, who's starting for James Madison. He didn't play last year, but he had 2,000 yards passing at Richmond in 2024. So he's going to be really, really solid for them. They got some really solid starters at the FCS level. They got East Tennessee State transfer Jeremiah Harrison, who had 652 yards. And they also got West Florida transfer Corey Scott Pace, who had 1,000 yards passing last year. This is going to be a really solid James Madison team. And Sunbelt Billy, you got to ride with them. Give me James Madison to win the conference.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, when Sunbelt Billy, when Billy Napier was the best coach, when his version of his best self was in the Sunbelt, right? So give me James Madison here. I'll ride with Kyle here at plus 260. The dark horse, PG likes James Madison. I think everybody does as well. You know, Old Dominion, they had 10 wins last year, but they lose a lot. You have Troy, who they bring back some stuff, but that offensive line gave up 59 sacks last year. So, does that get fixed? My dark horse here, Kyle, give me App State. They signed the best recruiting class here in this conference. They have a Northern Illinois transfer, Ethan Hampton. We remember from last year we talked about him. This team's got some stuff. I think they have a high ceiling, but they have a low floor too. So give me App State here at plus 1,800. I think this team could finish anywhere from they could win it to finish dead last year, Kyle. But I'm gonna ride with App State here.
Absolutely. Nope. There's no in between. And I think this conference could get really crazy here, Pace. I could see a pathway where Coastal Carolina could make their way in as well, and Louisiana Tech, the new team too. Marshall wasn't bad last year, so this could be a sneaky conference to watch out for. Could be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be really fun.
Yeah, Pace. Well, that's going to do it for our conference breakdowns. Before we wrap up the show, we got 8 week 0 games, Pace. This is going to give us a little time to get our minds right for next week when we talk about 94 FBS games. So this is a little bit of a start anyway. So we're going to talk about all 8 weeks, week 8 or week 0 games, and give a line on each and every one of them. Again, Pace was the winner last year, 52% hit on all his plays. I was just under 50%, but we're back, fresh season, and we're going to give a play on every single one. So Pace, let's get started with the first game of the season. We got North Carolina against TCU in Dublin. That game at 11 o'clock on Saturday on ESPN. Last year, TCU played North Carolina in the opener and won 48-14. Thing to note, Pace, this is the first game for Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator for North Carolina, so good to see him back in the saddle there. Wisconsin transfer Billy Edwards got the start for North Carolina. On the flip side, Harvard transfer Jaden Craig is starting for TCU. So a lot of interesting stuff. There's just a lot of new going on, Pace. New offensive coordinator, new quarterback. This is the first game of the season, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to take the under 47.5 for this game.
Man, look at this. New year, same us, Kyle. I'm also on the under. I'm riding with you on the under. The big thing for me here, Billy Edwards Jr., like you said, quarterback. Again, we mentioned this is in Dublin, Ireland, right? Dublin, Ireland game. So this will be definitely very interesting to kind of see how these two teams work out. Bill Belichick obviously back for the Tar Heels, but Billy Edwards Jr. got banged up last year at Wisconsin. Just going to see how is he going to figure it out, right? So he's probably going to be going through the motions a little bit, just trying to get his feet under him. And then, I before I take an over, or before I even bet on TCU, I can't believe they're minus 7.5 with Jaden Craig. I know he was dynamite at Harvard, Kyle, but it's freaking Harvard. They're playing the School of the Blind out east there. So give me the under here at 47.5. I just think this is going to be a low scoring affair with two quarterbacks we just don't know a ton of, and one quarterback that's coming off a season-ending injury there for Billy Edwards Jr.
Okay, sounds good. How about that? First game off the board, and we agree, Pace. That's incredible.
Going to be a great year.
Going to be a great year if that shows us anything. Pace, let's go to the second game here. We got San Jose State traveling to USC at 2 o'clock on NBC. Line right now, USC minus 38.5, over under 60.5. These two teams last played in 2023. USC won 56-28, Pace. Just a kind of note there. San Jose State is 0-6 all-time, Pace, against USC. They're bringing in their starting quarterback is from Hawaii, Luke Weaver, who is their backup. So I don't think he's going to be great. They also return no defensive starters, and all the projected starters on defense are backups. They do not have a projected starter that transferred in, if that tells you anything. USC, little fun fact for your, Pace, 39-1-1 all-time against Mountain West teams.
Wow.
So something to note there. This offense is going to be legit, though. Maeva was incredible last year. King Miller and Wayman Jordan was great. They're returning all 5 starting offensive linemen. They bring in Gary Patterson as DC. I'm high on this USC team, Pace. I think they cover this big number. I'm going to take USC minus the 38.5.
Yeah, it's a big number, no doubt. Kind of surprised we didn't even talk USC, right, in conference previews, but I'm a big Jaden Mavi. How do you say it? Maeva. There we go. I'm a big on him. I think he's going to be, again, I'm big on college fantasy football this year. I think he's going to be a top 5 college fantasy football quarterback here this season. I think he's going to do some numbers. Obviously, they got to figure out with some wide receivers going to the NFL who's going to catch some passes here. But Terrell Anderson comes over from NC State. Kyle, he had just under 700 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. Now let's look at San Jose State. Kyle mentioned Luke Weaver. Don't know what we're going to get out of him. You look at this running back room, Kyle, and the wide receiver room, a combined 4 touchdowns return out of the guys that they have on this roster. So they're going to have to figure it out. Maybe they surprise us here a little bit and stay in the game. But, man, 38.5 points, I don't know. It's a lot of points. I'm going to take the over. Give me the over. This is going to be, I think USC, maybe their team total is the play here. I think they're going to score 50-some points here on San Jose State. I think this offense is going to look phenomenal this season. So maybe San Jose State can give us a touchdown, maybe 2 in this over 16.5 hits. I'll take the over.
All right. Sounds good. And I got PG in the chat agreeing with my pick, which makes me like it even more. So I love that.
I'm actually on USC money line in a big favorites parlay. So that's what I'll be riding. That's what I'll be riding.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Pace, let's go to 2:30 on ESPN. We got NC State traveling to Virginia. Line right now, Virginia -5.5, over under 53.5. These two teams played last year, Pace, and gave Virginia their only regular season conference loss as NC State went on to win 35-31. NC State's going to be really solid this year, Pace. CJ Bailey's returning. He had a really solid sophomore year last year. They are a little inexperienced at wide receiver, which concerns me a little bit as far as this team goes, but they do have 5 transfers that are expected to start on defense. They got a really solid guy from Tulane, Harvey Dyson, who had 8 sacks at Tulane last year, so they're really beefing up that defensive line. On the flip side, Pace, I know Virginia brought back a bunch of guys, but freaking Bo Perbeli is going to be starting for Virginia. I mean, he sucks. So I don't know what to expect out of Virginia. I do know my dear friend PG, who's in the chat, talked very highly about Virginia. I don't know how good they're going to be this year. I'm actually going to take the road dog, Pace. I'm going to take NC State +5.5 in this one.
Man, look at us on the same side. This is crazy, Kyle. What's going on? Virginia was our squad last year, right? Chandler Morris, right? He was on that squad, I believe, for the Cavaliers last year. And this team blew everyone out of the water, and they were a fun team. So I think there's going to be a little regression here with Virginia. I like NC State. Kyle mentioned some of the guys. Obviously, there's CJ Bailey, Jaden Scott. Those guys are awesome. I think Bailey, he's one of my Heisman tickets, Kyle. He's one of my 500 Heisman tickets that I have. So I think he's going to have a good year. I'm big on him, the former 4-star recruit. I'm going to take NC State, but I'm going to take them on the money line, Kyle. Give me NC State money line on this one. Now, is this also a conference game as well? I would assume, right? But no. Yeah, this would be a conference game, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they have 9 other games, if it's considered a non-con game or not, but
okay. All right. Yeah, that's
fact check that for us.
Yeah, starting week 0 with a conference game. Don't love that. Don't love that. But yeah, I love NC State. I'm big on the Wolfpack this season.
Alrighty, sounds good. We will go on then to 4:30 on the CBS Sports Network. We got Jacksonville State taking on North Dakota State. Line right now, North Dakota State -6.5, over under 46.5. First FBS game for the North Dakota State Bison. These two teams have played before, Pace. They actually last played in the 2016 FCS National Title game where North Dakota State won 37-10. So something to note there. Jacksonville State as a road team, Pace. 0-6 straight up, 1-5 against the spread in non-conference road games since 2018. So something to note there. Caden Creel, we're big Caden Creel guys on the show. They are going to be without Cam Cook. Obviously went to West Virginia, so I think that's going to struggle for them a little bit here. North Dakota State in season openers Pace 8-1 straight up since 2017 in season openers. Their only loss was to Colorado a couple years ago. So they're really, really solid at home. Nathan Hayes could be really interesting there at quarterback. They returned 3 offensive linemen, 5 starters on defense. This is a solid North Dakota State team. I know you're probably concerned, and you in North Dakota are probably concerned. How are they going to do to open? I think they win, Pace, and I think they win by a touchdown at least. So I am going to take the Bison -6.5.
Yeah, I love the Harvest helmet too by the Bison there, Kyle, that you put on the graphics. So that's a great helmet. Yeah, these two teams obviously have played in the past. Carson Wentz was your starting quarterback, if you remember that name. Carson Wentz, a current Minnesota Viking, if you guys didn't know there. So this should be an interesting game. Two teams that know a little bit about each other, know a little bit about their history and their styles and their fights and all that stuff. Nathan Hayes is the big question mark for me, Kyle. Is this dude legit? I guess we're going to see here in a couple games, or a couple days, excuse me. I'm leaning the under, though. I want to take the Bison, but to give the people something else, I'm going to take the under here, Kyle. I like the Bison's defense. I think they can hang tough, and no Cam Cook, like you said, for Jacksonville State. So what are we going to get from this offense? How's it going to kind of look this year? Give me the under of 46.5.
I like it. Yep, I like that play a lot. Speaking of first time in the FBS, let's go to the other FCS team. Sacramento State Pace traveling to Eastern Michigan at 5:30 on ESPN Plus. Line right now, Eastern Michigan minus 8.5, over under 52.5. First meeting between these two squads in the first game for head coach Alonzo Carter at Sacramento State, formerly the Arizona running back coach. So it's going to be kind of interesting, Pace. Now, their quarterback, this is kind of an interesting situation, Pace, Sacramento State has at quarterback. Carson Conklin is going to be their starter at quarterback. He was at Sacramento State. He transferred to Fresno State, did not get the start over E.J. Warner, went back to Sacramento State. So it's something kind of interesting there, but they're only returning 3 starters on defense, so that's kind of concerning. Eastern Michigan, Noah Kim obviously back in the helm for them. They're really solid on defense, Pace. I know they only returned 2 starters, but they returned Bryce Llewellyn, who had 102 tackles last year, and Barry Manning, who had 74 tackles. And Eastern Michigan, Pace, is 8-2 straight up, 6-4 against the spread in season openers over the last 10 years. Sacramento State, I think, is going to get a welcome to the FBS moment here, because I think Eastern Michigan is going to win by double digits. So give me them minus 8.5.
Yeah, I like that. I love the new the trends that you're giving us as well. That's good stuff, Kyle. Noah Kim, his 7th year in college football, crazy. But he's a 2-time captain now, entering his 7th year. What I love about Eastern Michigan here, Kyle, this offensive line returns 4 experienced starters, and they got a transfer from Oklahoma State, so they should be tough up front on the offensive side of the football. And Chris Crichton, I think, is 13th year, Kyle, at EMU, which is pretty impressive there. So I think they're going to come out swinging big here and get the big dub. Give me the Eastern Michigan. What are they? Eastern Michigan. What are they? They're not the Spartans, are they? EMU. I don't know
what the heck is their mascot.
What are they? I got to check this. Eastern Michigan mascot. The Eagles. The Eagles. Okay.
Eagles, right. There you go.
All right. But yeah, give me Eastern Michigan. You're around 8.5.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, Eastern Michigan alt line, our dear friend Potato Gobbler says.
Man. Ooh, Thomas going the other way. All right.
Interesting. All right. Sounds good. Well, Pace, let's go to 6 o'clock on the CW. We got New Mexico State traveling to Florida State. Line right now, Florida State minus 31.5, over under 53.5. Fun fact for you, Pace, these teams have met one time, and it was back in 1964 that these two teams last faced off. Florida State won 34-0. New Mexico State is 0-7 in season openers this season. Straight up, Pace. They did announce recently that they are going to be starting Furman transfer Trey Hedden at quarterback, and he was solid last year. He had almost 3,000 yards passing and 17 TDs, but he really struggled with turnovers, and I think that's going to be kind of worrisome going to Florida State. Florida State, we talked about it, Pace. Ashton Daniels is getting the start for them. They got Texas running back Cotravian Wisner at running back too. This is going to be a brand new Florida State team. And if we want to talk about people on the hot seat, Pace, Mike Norvell's seat has to be really, really warm right now for how his teams have done lately. He wants to come out and he wants to make a statement right away that this is not the same old Florida State team that they've seen in the past. This is a big number, but I'm laying the big number, and I'm going to take Florida State minus the 31.5.
Yeah, I kind of have to go Florida State here. I was big on them on the preview part here of the show. New Mexico State lost their starting running back, top wide receiver from last year. They don't have much coming back on the offensive line, so that worries me a little bit. Who knows what we're going to get out of the defense? But yeah, give me Florida State. Maybe like a USC moneyline, Florida State moneyline parlay for all the marbles. I think that could be pretty fun if you can find those numbers out there. But yeah, give me Florida State. I think they're going to be better, a lot better than people think this year.
All right. Sounds good, Pace. Well, we will stay at 6 o'clock. We got Hawaii traveling to Stanford at 6 o'clock on the ACC network. Line right now, Stanford minus 5.5, over under 49.5. Okay, so Pofela Ashlock probably isn't playing in this game, which is a huge, huge loss for Hawaii. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Stanford starting quarterback, Pace, is Davis Warren. My Lord, I forgot he was still in college football. He was terrible at Michigan, and now he's back in college football. They have one of the worst offensive lines in college football. They're returning 7 starters and one of the worst defenses in college football. And Hawaii is 4-2 all-time, Pace, against Stanford. And Stanford's favored by 5.5. No.
Fishy.
No, that's fishy. I'm going to be conservative and take Hawaii plus the points, but don't be surprised later on in the week if I sprinkle them money line. But I am going to take Hawaii plus the points.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go the under here, Kyle. Obviously, Stanford, you got to be super smart to get into Stanford, right? So they can't get all the great players over there. They do have a first-time head coach there in Tavita Pritchard, who knows, I believe, has some ties to the program. I think he was a quarterback back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. So him and Andrew Luck got a nice little thing going there for the Stanford Cardinal. I just don't see them scoring a lot of points here. Hawaii, with your top playmaker out, I just don't see them scoring a lot of points. So give me the under of 49.5 here.
Okay. Nope. I like that. I like that play a lot, Pace. So I think I might tail that too.
Let's go.
Final game of week 0, Pace, is 9 o'clock on Fox. We got Memphis traveling to UNLV. Line right now, UNLV minus 5.5, over under 56.5. This is an interesting one, Pace. So Memphis, this is the first game for Charlie Huff at Memphis because, he had some great success at Southern Miss and turning that Southern Miss program around. So first time at Memphis. He's not naming the starting quarterback, which is horrible for us handicappers because that's what we want to know. It's either going to be West Florida transfer Marcus Stokes, who had almost 4,000 or 3,300 yards passing, or it's going to be South Carolina transfer Air Noland, who's going to get the start. Now, Air Noland didn't play much at South Carolina, but he was a 4-star quarterback back in the class of 2024. So a solid quarterback, not saying who's going to be the starter here. All the projected starters Pace on defense for Memphis are going to be transfers. So I think that's something kind of interesting to note here. And then on the flip side for UNLV, we don't know who's starting at quarterback. If it's going to be Jackson Arnold or Alex Orji, I got a feeling it's going to be Arnold, but you just never know. And they're only returning 3 starters on defense here. So we got 2 offenses who I think are going to try to show that they deserve to be in the place that they're in, and 2 defenses, the Pace, that really haven't had the chemistry and really haven't worked with each other much. I'm going to take the over 56.5 for the final game.
Okay, I'm actually going to go the other way here, Kyle. I like Memphis's defense. They got some elite talent here. The pass rusher, Jamon Tape, Kyle, one of the best in the conference. Their secondary is super strong as well, so could give the UNLV quarterback some issues there. The offense obviously worries me a little bit which direction they're going to go, right, without naming a starter here. So I just think there's too many offensive questions here for Memphis. I like their defense. UNLV, who knows? They get all the talent. I get that, but who's going to be the quarterback there? Is it going to be our guy that we think it is? So I just think these defenses are going to come out, and it's a high total. I'm going to take the under. The highest total on the board, I think, for week 0.
Yep, it is. So, okay. Sounds good. Well, Pace, that's going to do it for all our week 0 games. We covered every single conference. So kind of a warm-up show for us because next week we got 94 games we're going to be talking about. We're talking about every single one. Very likely won't have lines for many of them, so we're just going to have to make up lines as we go. But it's gonna be fun, Pace. I'm excited to be back here in the helm with you. Excited to have action back as well behind the scenes. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up, Pace?
Yeah, let's just make it a great season, Kyle. Obviously, we had a great season last year, and we talked a lot of good stuff. So, improve the viewership, right? Second year, right? So we should see a nice little bump in viewership there with us being on the airwaves for a second year. So, should be fun back in the saddle with you in action. Just excited for week 0 and excited for week 1, man. From 8 games to 94 games. That's quite the jump, and we're going to be ready for it.
Absolutely. No, we are absolutely going to be ready for it. So thank you for tuning in. We had some great comments in the chat. So shout out to everybody in the chat for commenting and keeping us engaged here. But yeah, next week, 94 FBS games we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be fun. Shout out to Mr. Action Junkie again, and enjoy week 0, everybody. College football is back. So be very thankful for that. And we will see you next week to talk about week 1.
Peace, guys.